Good morning, Dennis Newbacher from WWJ News Radio 950, morning anchor from 5 until 10. I want to thank you very much for looking in and listening every morning to us and passing along information on our tipster line. That's always helpful. The big thing we've been talking about, and Craig Bryson is here from the Road Commission for Oakland County to kind of as an addendum, a footnote to what we've been talking about more than anything else, and that is potholes. And we have an example of what it looks like before you get a pothole and back here. But wanted to bring you on and discuss this. Please share this information with your friends, your family, anybody who can pass along information that helps us. Please let them know to do that as well. You heard me rant about it a couple of weeks ago, and in fairness to the folks that know this system better than I do, we brought Craig Bryson in to talk about what Oakland County's doing, and you kind of told me something off camera. I hope I'm not breaking a confidence here. I don't necessarily think you were doing that. You said, Dennis, we're so far behind. Bottom looks closer than up. What's going on here, Craig? What has happened? Why are we all, number one, so angry? And what is the fix, if there is any here?
Right. Well, first of all, there's two reasons why we're in the situation we're in with all these potholes. Number one is the weather over the last couple of weeks. It's been terrible, fluctuating hot to cold, snow to rain. These huge swings in temperature. That's perfect condition for the creation of potholes. But the second is a much bigger issue. This has been growing and building for 20 years. We've been underfunding roads in Michigan compared to every other state for more than 20 years. And we've been warning for more than 20 years that this was coming. We could project the condition of roads out years in advance based on the amount of funding we get. And we've been warning everybody that the roads are deteriorating, and every year they're getting worse and worse and worse.
So this was like the perfect storm, is
exactly.
What you're basically saying.
And this is the result of years of underfunding and not investing in our road system, combined with this terrible combination of weather, created the situation we have today.
How far do you think we are behind funding-wise? Can you put a monetary figure on this? Because a lot of us are saying, we've been hearing the promises, like you said, for 20 years. We think some of them are hollow promises now, and now all of a sudden the legislature is kind of scrambling because we also know this election year. Now, I'm not a skeptical person. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible and give credit where credit's due.
Right.
But there's a part of me that Craig has just said, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. And I'm stuck in a studio. I'm not complaining about that. I don't have to put up with this, but the drivers do. What's going on here?
Well, and we do appreciate the legislators. I mean, it's never easy to raise taxes and spend.
That's not an easy job either.
Right.
I understand that.
We appreciate what they're doing, but by all of the experts who have analyzed the situation of the roads in Michigan have said that we need billions of dollars more than we have currently, even with the new funding package coming in. We appreciate the new funding package that was enacted in 2015. We appreciate
so $1 billion versus $175 million. I mean, that's quite a difference.
Right. Well, the new road funding package from 2015 generates $1.2 billion, or will when it's fully implemented.
Where's that coming from?
1.2.
Where does that come from?
Gas tax increase and vehicle registration fee increases that began January 1st, diesel tax increase. And then after 2019, beginning in 2019, we'll start getting money from the general fund, building up to 2021 when we'll get $600 million a year statewide in additional funding, as long as the legislature follows through on its commitment.
Okay, now compare us, and Cindy Dingle's with us as well. She's going to come in and talk about some of the projects here in just a couple of minutes. She pointed out something that, everybody's saying, well, the roads are really better in Ohio. They're really better across the river in Ontario, southwest Ontario.
Right.
Is that true, not true from your perspective?
It is true. It's very true. And if you look at Ohio, for example, Ohio raised its gas tax in 2005 to 28 cents a gallon. Our gas tax was 19 cents a gallon until it was just raised January 1st to 26.3 cents a gallon. So for that, from 1995 until 2017, they were generating $1 billion a year more in revenue than Michigan,
money.
And they put that money into the roads every year, on top of the fact that they have a toll road that generates hundreds of millions of dollars in additional revenue for the toll road itself. So Ohio has been investing dramatically more in their roads.
Now,
Ontario even more so.
Okay, and they're going to, of course, build the Gordie Howe International Bridge, which is pretty cool that they're going to do that. We had them on to talk about that as well. So is it more money is needed? Is there a way to build the roads differently? Is there something that we should be doing differently? Should we consider toll roads in Michigan?
Toll roads are a tough subject. It would be difficult to do in Michigan With current technology, you have to have a restricted roadway where you can have toll gates and toll booths. You can't really do that on a surface street.
Could you do it underneath with sensors and, this is, if
That's,
you're going to drive
that's where
on
the
this
technology
road?
is going. I
Right.
think, though, if we started to charge money for roads that we built with public funding that are in existence today, we'd have an uprising from the people. If all of a sudden you start charging people for their commute to work down a mile road or a main north-south road in Oakland County, you'd have a revolt on your hands. I think people would not put up with that. The freeways are another question. There's a legal question whether you can retroactively put a toll road on a road that was built with public dollars to begin with. The toll roads in other states were built as toll roads. They weren't retrofitted as toll roads. So
And there might be a fight in the legislature if there was going to be a toll road. Say, wait a minute, we've already increased the cost of the gas tax and the registration fees.
Exactly.
Now, if we take the toll, are we going to reduce that? Because some people are going to say, well, I don't want to pay that much money in gas tax. That's going to be a hard sell, I would
Yes,
think.
it is.
Is that
It would certainly be a hard sell. It'd be politically extremely difficult to do.
Right.
So.
I mean, it could be 75 a toll road from the Ohio line up to the Mackinac Bridge or
Right.
up to Sault Ste. Marie. Could that be a toll road?
And that has been discussed, but again, because it was built with public dollars as a free public road, quote unquote free, it would be, there's a legal question about whether you can retroactively make it a toll road, unless you return those federal dollars that were used to build it.
Okay, so in a nutshell, what do you think, we're going to start talking a little bit about potholes. We want to bring Cindy in as well. In a nutshell, what do you think needs to be done? Money sounds great. We throw money at it. Is it going to
Right.
work?
Well,
do we build the roads differently? Is there material we should be using in Michigan because we do have that drastic thaw free cycle? Should we be doing something different?
Well, we do have the most advanced techniques. Our engineers work with the engineers from all the other states, national committees that study material and find the best combinations of material for this weather, balance that against the available resources. So it's really not a question of material, it's a question of investment. But there's also things in the immediate term that we're doing about potholes. For example, we're extending the hours of our part-time temporary workers. We bring in part-time workers each year to help out with snow plowing. We're allowing them to work longer hours to help out with pothole patching. We're extending their contract further into the spring so they can remain on staff to help out with potholes. Our pothole patching crews have been working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week to work on potholes. And these are the same guys, by the way, who are plowing snow around the clock.
And be careful around these crews. I mean, give them as much room as you can. I mean, everybody's so much in a hurry nowadays. We talked to a tow truck driver last week. I mean, he said, Dennis, you stand on the side of the road and people are just flying by.
It's a very dangerous job.
Very dangerous job. So we appreciate what they're doing. Okay, this right here, you said that you described this, and Rob Velasic, who produces our Facebook, he said, I found something, Dennis. You know what they call this? What do they call this picture of a pre-pothole?
Well, we call this alligator cracking. It's also sometimes referred to as
back
crocodile.
It does look like the back of an alligator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example because we have many roads in Oakland County that are in poor condition, and oftentimes this is what it looks like. But when you drive on this initially, it seems fine. It's relatively smooth. The little cracks don't bother you. But the problem is with all this precipitation and freeze-thaw cycle, the water gets into all these cracks, freezes and expands, and this area is prone to major pothole problems. This is exactly the kind of area that turns in within a few short days or hours into
Hit
potholes.
that arrow right here. There you go. There. That's what it is.
And this is what it will become.
In fact, you can go to keep advancing it. You'll see even all the different kinds. And these are just maybe not necessarily examples here in Michigan, but yet you could put this in Michigan.
And this is a gravel road, and this is exactly what many of our gravel roads look like at this time of year. They're a huge challenge.
Are they? In my impression, I live in Wayne County on a gravel road. We seem to be the last, and I know that's the process. I've studied it, and you explained it to me, but that appears to be the process. Main roads, state roads, arteries that are most important. You want people, once they get out to the main road, to be able to travel the main road.
Right.
It's great to do our neighborhood first,
right?
But then once they get out of the neighborhood, then they can't go anywhere.
And it's also a safety priority.
It's counterintuitive to me, but because I'm selfish, I want my neighborhood to be fine.
Absolutely, and we all do. That's understandable. Right. But it's really a safety priority more than anything else. The roads with the most traffic, moving at the highest speeds, have to be our top priorities for both plowing and salting and pothole patching, because that's where the people are most likely to get into dangerous situations. We want to get those roads first, then we move on to the lower traffic volume, lower speed roads.
Advance it one more time here. Let's look at a pothole. They're filling this right here. Ron Dewey, reporter, crack reporter, he just gets out, and he said he was watching one day the state crews out on I-696. Now I know you guys are county, but he said, I think they're doing something a little bit different here. Maybe you can explain what's going on. It seems like the roads are being set up. In other words, we have two pieces of wood. If it's smooth, the glue's not going to hold.
Right.
But you roughen them up, it does.
Right.
It sounds like you're doing something different with these potholes.
Right.
What is it?
What MDOT is, we patch the potholes. We do the traditional pothole patching on all the state highways on behalf of MDOT in Oakland County.
Okay.
What they're doing is far more than that. They're doing what's called heavy maintenance. They actually got one of the asphalt companies to open an asphalt plant in the middle of winter, which is unheard of. It's never been done before.
Yeah. Temperatures.
Costs a lot of
Yeah.
money,
Right.
but allows them to do much more serious, where they cut out the areas and then pack the potholes in, pack the material, the hot asphalt in, and roll it out. So it's much
Okay.
more than pothole
And it
patching.
adheres better to the sides
And
everything.
theoretically, it should last a lot longer. It's also vastly more expensive, but it's a much more serious fix than pothole patching.
And are you prepping it? Are they prepping it any differently?
But we're not doing that work. MDOT has got their own
Yeah,
contractors
they're
doing that
doing
work.
that.
So it's a much more complex process.
Are you able to do that though? You don't have
We
the time.
can't.
You can't
We
do
don't
it.
have the time or the money. They're paying
Yeah.
literally millions of dollars to have an asphalt company open an asphalt plant in the winter. And again, that's never been done
Right.
in my experience in Michigan. That's
Well, maybe
never
it's a
been done.
precedent set. Maybe this is a good thing for us in the future. What do you think? I mean, hopefully. I mean, you're gonna have to pay for it.
If we're
right?
willing to pay, if we have the
Yeah.
millions of dollars, I mean,
Right.
if you think about it, that's
Get
millions of
these
dollars
cities.
that we're not using to then
Yeah.
resurface roads in the summertime, which is the
Right.
real long-term solution.
Right. Let's get that over here to Michigan. This you kind of give an idea. You got the pen right there.
Right.
Show us what you're talking about.
So-
And Cindy, come on in. Come on
So
in. as
Oakland
well.
County
Come on in.
is, if I can.
Cindy
let's see.
Dingle's going to join us from the Road Commission for Oakland County. Thank you,
Oops.
Cindy, for being here.
Oh, no
Appreciate
problem.
This
Thank
is
you.
roughly Oakland County, so that's the area. It's 900 square miles, 2,700 miles of county roads, 230 miles of state highways. So that's about 3,000 miles of roads that we're patching potholes
And
on.
you've got
Oops.
a certain amount of
Wait.
money to cover this, right? And
Yes,
it. And
exactly.
that you're left with a certain. Is that map that we have up there after this one show that, Cindy, what you guys are going to handle
Yes.
money wise, right? Hit that.
It does. It actually shows the
There you go.
federal aid road system, and these are dollars in Oakland County that,
There we go.
there we go. The technology's
Sorry,
awesome.
Cindy, sorry.
The red on this map represents roads that are in poor condition. So these are your federally
No way.
eligible roads.
All poor condition.
All poor
Check this out.
condition.
600 miles of roads currently in poor condition.
That's amazing.
So when you think about us out doing pothole patching, this is what we're dealing with on a daily basis. And the roads that are not appearing on here in these red areas are the subdivision streets and townships, which we're responsible for. So, we get all sorts of calls about, when are you gonna patch my township subdivision road? Well, these roads carry a lot more traffic that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So these are what we focus on patching, and we get the wheel busters
Yeah,
first.
and so, are you running across now, and this is looking far enough down the road that things are changing. We're getting to the idea of talking about autonomous cars, a lot more talk about transit, rapid transit, things like that. Do you think that we're beginning to see a change happening here, a subtle change from people thinking they're going to be driving cars to people not driving cars, autonomous cars, more rapid transit, more buses, things like that? And you're finding somewhat of a fight in the legislature for the money now, because there are people who want to transition away from this scenario here. We're used to, we grew up with cars. I love cars. I still want to have 5 cars every day, different cars. But there are a lot of people who don't thinking that way anymore. The new generations are looking at things differently. Is that what you think you
Well,
guys are
and
running across?
we've always supported SMART and the transit system. We've fought to help ensure that SMART gets there and the transit entities get their fair share of state road funding or state transportation funding. The challenge is there's no good way to have an efficient bus system that can cover Springfield Township.
Let me get this one over here. Would that be better?
Well, actually, I think this is
good. Okay.
We serve a lot of rural areas as well, and in
It's
the
all
urban
rural roads
areas,
up there.
you can design bus routes that can effectively serve the urban area.
So you'd have to get people to
When you
feed
get
into these
right,
systems, wouldn't you, somehow?
How do you serve Groveland Township or Brandon Township with a bus system? There's just not enough people going in the same directions to make it
Right.
a logical choice for a bus route. That's not to say there shouldn't be, that we can't do more in the way of transit in the more densely populated parts of the county. But we serve both rural and urbanized areas of the county, and that's a constant, that's always been the challenge.
And then you come in now, and you send us your emails, which we really appreciate.
Constantly,
Thank you.
sorry, I'm
No, that's
gassed.
okay. That's okay. Laura Bonnell and Rob Velasic and all the reporters, we all love getting the information because we want to pass it along. That's the whole idea. You have done the same thing over here with Craig. Give us, we're going to be out. State doing that with that work on 690, 675. That was huge, and I think people put up with the fact that that was going to be the case. But now we got the maintenance. Now you're going to be doing some new work. What's going on coming up in the next couple of years in Oakland County?
Sure. Well, we've got some big projects on the books this year, and a couple of them are carryover from last
Do
year.
you want this map up, or should I bring the other one up? What would be best?
You know, I can just maybe explain what we're looking at
If
here.
you want to circle anything, you're welcome
Yeah,
to do
the
that.
first one is DeQuinder, so we're going to be doing a section of.
There's Squirrel Lake
Squirrel
right there,
Lake,
there's
yeah.
Waddles, there's
Yeah, we're gonna be
Livernois
doing-
right there.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Long Lake. up-
DeQuinder is the line of demarcation on the east side,
Between-
of Mound Road, of
Correct.
Oakland County, right?
Right.
Then over the border from there is Macomb County.
Right, so this is a carryover project from last year. Last year, they were
Remember
able
that.
to do a substantial storm sewer upgrade in the middle of the intersection here. Get
You wanna
some-
circle that, feel
yeah,
free to go ahead
do
and do
some
that.
temporary pavement, put that
There you
down,
go. Yeah.
and this will be widened to 5 lanes.
And that's between which and which? DeQuinder between?
Yeah, this is Long Lake, and then it goes up to it, right here at this little section here is Burning Bush,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is on the side of Sterling Heights. And 2 years ago, we were able to do this project right here by the hospital.
Yeah.
And then.
Troy Beaumont, right?
Troy Beaumont,
Right.
and then we're gonna be doing another section up to Auburn, coming up here
And
as
this is,
well.
that's the freeway, right? M59 freeway in there? Is that
Correct,
what I see that?
correct.
Okay, good.
So this
Okay.
has been on the books, and it's an overlap project that we are going to start on Monday. Should be minimal impact to traffic, if any.
Yeah.
They're going to start doing the storm sewers on the west side because it's just excavation work and getting those in so
And
they're
that's
prepared
always
to
the
pave.
thing you do first, right? You make sure that all the infrastructure is done right. The power lines or the electric lines,
Correct.
the water lines, the sewer lines, all have to be done. A lot of these old sewers are probably, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. These are old roads that have to be upgraded, right?
Right, they're old roads, and one of the things that we do when we go into the planning process, and many of these are, many years out, and we have one project that's been in the planning for 20 years, that's gonna take off this year too. But we do meet with all those stakeholders, so it's the communities, it's the utilities. One thing that we don't wanna have is, look, community, if you have a bad water line in here or an antiquated system, where we're gonna reconstruct the road, let's dig it out now and let's get it fixed. So we do
Yeah.
have that cooperation going on, so we
Good
try to
idea.
do things, cause people hate to see a brand new road paved,
Yeah.
and then something blows up
Well, if
on
you
it
come
and the
across
pavement's gone.
Yeah, if you come across something that, it could be an ancient burial ground, could be something, you will stop, you will investigate it, and we'll get it squared away and then move along from that point, right?
Absolutely.
Everything is taken care of.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time,
Conscious of that.
we spend a lot of time looking at utilities, looking at, what right of way we have. If we have to purchase right of way, which is getting costly now to do.
It's gotta be terrible.
It is, it's terrible, and, sometimes we end up in court on it too.
Now, what's the 20-year project? Is that Baldwin?
That's Baldwin, yeah, so that one's Morgan
Where is
to.
it? Where is that now?
Morgan
That's
to Walden,
There's Oregon, there's Clarkston right there. Should we bring the map down at all? Or is it- Oh, there we go,
Right
there we
here.
go, there we
So
go.
it'd be-
Thanks, Greg.
so it's Morgan right here, and it goes up to Walden,
Right, that red line up there.
right here,
Next one up.
right here. So it's this
Yeah, there's
section.
right there, as a matter of fact.
Right there. And this year, they're gonna be doing the portion of Morgan to Gregory. So it's a phased project over a couple of years. Last year, they spent time moving utilities.
Okay.
Getting ready for the expansion
Is
of
that
the road.
because of Great Lakes crossing in there too? Is it brought in a lot of traffic? Is that what happened? Is that motivated this project? you
Actually,
think?
it's a growth area, so you've got
Houses.
houses, you've got developments, which unfortunately, we're not really involved in those local development decisions. We usually find out when they come to us for a permit to access the road for their driveway. So there's gonna be 5 roundabouts built in here.
It's interesting.
Over the
Oh,
next.
no kidding. Oh, that's another topic for another day, the roundabouts, isn't
Right.
it? Isn't that funny? Because what it sounds like here is a little bit of the egg versus the chicken, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Somewhere along the line here, one brings the other.
Right.
And sometimes the other one brings the other one.
Well, in our case, it's always the development that comes first. We are always we never build.
Well, that's tax money. That's tax.
Right.
That's money for us to, for you guys to do the roads, right?
And because of the way road funding is issued, we don't get money to build a road out in the middle of nowhere. We can't get money to widen the road until the traffic is there to justify it. So it's always the chicken after the egg, I guess.
Most
But-
people, when you guys sit in and Craig, when you guys are at these public meetings, and you have them all the time, we try to post them, but people can find these on the Road Commission for Oakland County. All the road commissions have these public meetings.
Right.
State does it as well. What kind of questions are you getting people that say, well, don't widen the road, let's just improve what we have, and add a turn lane here? Do you take all these things into consideration and ideas?
And this Baldwin project is a perfect example where we did a multi-year federal environmental assessment where we look at not only the natural environment, by environment we mean the human environment, the built environment, everything around there, take input from everybody, all the stakeholders, residents, businesses, churches, community groups, anybody that's there, and look at all the different possible options for that road. There's a no-build option, there's a 5-lane option, there's a boulevard option, and then go through a evaluative process with the community and all the stakeholders to figure out the best option. The state has to sign off on it, the federal government has to sign off on it, the EPA has to sign off on it. So by the time we get to the final design, it's been through this rigorous review process.
Christy Strauser is handling the camera right here for us. Thanks, Christy, for holding it up so much. I like that in that position. So I really appreciate this. This is kind of the democracy at work here. I mean, the fact that we can talk about this, because there's a lot of anger, as you know, and there's still that. Sure. I mean, I think the tire companies are doing really well, and not criticizing them, but there are people who said they drive their car in and it would be there overnight. They'd have to actually, because it's a safety item, they'd actually have to rent a car because their car could not be fixed. That's how bad it is. That's how angry everybody really is. But this is a democracy, so we do have a voice.
And I appreciate that.
You can come in and say, well, the Oakland Road Commission for Oakland County just decided we're going to do this to the road. But you take in everybody's consideration, which is democracy at work.
Nor are we immune to those potholes. I have replaced the tire last week, so
I
have been, yes,
okay.
yes, and my husband too. So
it's
we're
costly,
all
right?
victims of it.
$300, $400, $500 each time that happens.
Tires, alignments,
tie rods, or whatever the case.
Well, they're equal opportunity offenders, no matter where you are in the state. So yeah.
If you have a dream about what you want to do in Oakland County, I mean, we've talked about the money. Obviously, it would be great to have more money. It sounds like the word is out. I'm thinking this is going to improve the situation for you and make your job maybe a bit easier. What would you want to do with the roads in Oakland County? You've seen it for a long time. You've seen the roads for a long time in Michigan. What do you guys have a dream to see happen here? What would you, if you had the best case scenario?
Well, we want to obviously resurface and reconstruct as many of these roads that are in red as possible. We're doing, with the funding we have now, we're doing as many as we can. We'd like to do way more than that, and reduce the time it's going to take to get all these roads into good shape. That's the ultimate dream.
If you did all these roads though at once, I mean, you got to do it somehow in a step-by-step manner,
Absolutely.
right? If not, I'm thinking that there would be complaints about I'm not able to get anywhere, right? Because the roads are blocked, right? That's a consideration. Plus, the other thing that comes into consideration is the businesses are affected by it, right? That's where you come into play here.
Yeah, the businesses are definitely impacted by it. In fact, we have a page on our website that we started to try to assist businesses with some ideas and thoughts that they can do when road construction projects come in front of their business.
Can they get paid by the county? They can't get paid by the state. They can't get paid by the federal government. So if they lose business, it's kind of like, well, it's a footnote to what actually is going on.
And we're sympathetic with that. Right. The challenge is there's no way, it's impossible to do a major road construction project without impacting traffic and therefore without impacting businesses. And we understand that, we feel their pain, but the money we use, is for the roads. If we were to give money to businesses, that's less money for the roads, and obviously we don't have enough money for the roads as it is.
Everybody wants a piece of it.
And if you improve the road and improve access, that's actually going to boost your business a little bit
Sure,
more.
and even attract more business.
Absolutely, yeah.
People
If
to
the
live
road's
there.
in bad shape, they may not want to go there. So.
Our board vice chairman, Greg Jamie, once said if you amortized the value of the road improvement for that business over the next 20 years, hopefully you would see a net gain versus the loss they have during the couple of months that the road is under construction.
And do you bring that up when you have these public meetings? You talk about that and say, listen, you say, this is going to gain for you, like you just said, money in the future. Are you patient? Are they patient enough to wait through that?
Usually we get the calls on it when a business is really angry and they didn't know about the project, which is one thing that's really great about our website.
Go to this website. Yeah. Get on the website. Right?
Absolutely. We have an app too that shortcuts you to the road project page, so you can go there and see what's going on. But the uniqueness of the website, I didn't know anything about it. Well, when they go and look at the page, there's years of articles, there's communications we've put out. We don't just drop these projects into a hat and plan them overnight, especially in the federal aid system. We just had a meeting, 3 weeks ago, Valentine's Day, just before that, and we're planning our 2021 projects now.
Wow, so you're far enough.
So there is a lot of planning that goes into advance on it too.
I see that scenario, Cindy, when you said that. I said, there's a hand on the table. Look, you guys come in the morning and say, what project are we going to work on today in the next couple of years?
We'd love to have that flexibility, but that's not how it works.
Cindy Dingle and Greg Bryson, thank you both for coming in and
Thank
being
you.
part of this. This is the map of obviously Oakland County. You see the map, what their effort is. You saw the pothole picture here just a little while ago. There's one being filled right there. We can go back there and you can see what it looks like on a less traveled road. We get a lot of calls. Thank you for being accessible to answering our questions.
That's in Sweden?
Yeah, there it is. That's it. That's on paper.
Wow, well, see, Sweden's not even ahead of us on technology.
So my
This is good to
sister-in-law
know.
was from Sweden.
And we have 760 miles of those gravel roads.
Oh, see, so that's I'm
That's a lot of gravel, yeah, and a lot of them are in swampy area.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about the number of lakes that Oakland County has, eventually you're gonna hit an area, and we get complaints on them all the time, and we know exactly where they are because we know where the swampy areas are.
Well, it's like the old thing of being a pilot. People say, well, the airport's too noisy. And you say, well, what was here first? Were you here first or the airport?
Right.
And they say, well, I moved in 20 years after the airport was built. Oh, just like you said, you bought a nice home on a nice road. I'm not criticizing these people for doing this, but
Exactly.
there is, let's be careful about with fingers pointing at one person with three pointing back at
That's
the other.
right.
Or those pesky railroad tracks.
Well,
We
there
better
you
do
go.
something about those
well,
trains.
Can you put the road? Can you put the road under the railroad track? That's always a big thing. Plymouth is they're up in arms there
Well,
sometimes.
when we find that
about
Gold Brook Plaza, we might be able to do more of
you
those.
betcha.
So.
Well, thank you.
And also, I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, we
appreciate
hope
it.
one of the things that we hope that people understand is that there is some logic to what we do. It's never as much as any of us would like to do, but there is some logic. We put a lot of thought in it. We try to do the best we can with the resources we have. And if people have questions, we do try to answer them. We owe the people an explanation, and we're happy to give that if we can, if we have the opportunity. So
You're accessible. We appreciate that. I know Rob and Laura call all the time. The newsroom calls all the time. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Craig.
And if the
Thank you.
public needs to reach us to report a pothole, it's 877-858-4804. Just give us a call or look us up on social media, and we do have ways to report through that, but we also have an app. If you go to Google Play or Apple, it's Road Commission for Oakland County. Download it, it's free. You can report potholes through that real easily.
Fantastic. Cindy Dingle, Greg Bryson, thank you very much. Thank you for watching us on Facebook today. My name is Dennis Newbacher. We'll see you in the morning, bright and early on WWJ News Radio 950. Thanks again. Thanks for all your information.